Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Larry Stoney. I'm sitting here with Trace Beaulieu from Mystery Science Theater 3000, Freaks and Geeks, and now Cinematic Titanics. We're very happy to have you here. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for being here. It's great to be in Milwaukee at the Pabst, the beautiful Pabst Theater. You can't say enough about this place.
Well, I mean, from what I understand, every time you come into Milwaukee, you're pretty much always at the Pabst Theater. This is like your home in Milwaukee.
It is now. It's our home. We have cots set up here and nice facility downstairs. They cater for us. It's beautiful.
Well, home away from home is always a good thing. One of the things I try to do when I do these interviews is I try to find something personal about the person, so I can ask them. I mean, nothing too big, nothing too personal, but just something that I can go, oh, about your dog Petey. You know,
Yeah.
I can't find any information about you at all. Are you normally such a private person? Is it why?
Well, I'm from the Midwest. I'm from Minneapolis, so I guess there's just naturally this Nordic shield of info. Any personal info is I don't know why it isn't out there.
I can't even find a bio of you anywhere.
I think there's one on our website, but nobody looks at it anyway, so you have to go someplace else.
And what website is that?
That's cinematictitanic.com.
Ah, okay. Well, that seems to stand to reason since it's Cinematic Titanic that we're seeing here tonight.
Yeah, that's right.
Of course, a lot of people don't accuse me of using reason in anything I do, so.
You shouldn't have to. That's just a waste of time.
Now, you were one of the originals of MST3K there from the beginning, from the KTMA series. Was it, when you looked at the script and when you were doing it, actually you did a lot of stuff ad-libbed, did you always know it was going to be a special show, or was it just something that was putting a little bit of money in your pocket?
A very tiny amount of money in our pocket, and it was a lark. You know, it was something fun to do, and it was great hanging with everybody. And you know, Joel and Josh and I were friends already, and so it was just a continuation of hanging out, either in comedy clubs or in writing groups. And it was just never thought we'd still be talking about it. You know, 25, not coming up soon on 25. Yeah.
Well, actually, we'll be asking a little bit about that, about the legacy of MST3K in just a few moments. I kind of want to walk through the history a little bit. You were Dr. Clayton Forrester, and you were also Crow. Tell us a little bit about how you came with the character of Dr. Clayton Forrester. Was there an inspiration behind that?
Well, the name, of course, we ripped off wholesale from War of the Worlds. Right. You know, Gene Barry's character, which was just on cable last night, War of the Worlds. Still a really great movie, but it was a good doctor name, Dr. Clayton Forrester. And if you watch that film, they use his full title almost every time they talk about him. Oh, that's Dr. Clayton Forrester. It's like, what would Dr. Clayton Forrester think? So it was just one of those kind of, it rolled off the tongue nice, and it fit perfectly.
Well, what about Crow? He's kind of a wiseacre. How did you come up with a character for him?
I think, you know, that's kind of my nature too, is to be kind of a counterpunchy sort of wiseacre-y thing. And we didn't go in with a Bible that said, you know, these are what the characters are and this is what they're like. They emerged from us and evolved over time. So it's Josh put into Servo his personal quirks and things, and I did that with Crow, and they just evolved from there.
Well, you were with Mystery Science Theater 3K for 7 years, I think it was.
I think 7 seasons with the channel,
right.
And then the KTMA was a season.
Right.
So
8
yeah,
seasons.
yeah, and then we had a little break in there. We did the movie, and so I don't know how many years total.
Well, a good chunk of your life.
Yes, it was a dark period. Yes,
Dark period of your life. Okay. You ended up leaving MST3K. You were also on Freaks and Geeks as a semi-reoccurring character. Did someone approach you to be on that show, or?
Yeah, you know, Paul Feig. I'd met Paul through Joel out in Los Angeles, and Josh and Paul and I worked on a show called Fast Food Films. We worked on the pilot for that. Okay. Was taking old movies, bad movies, and cutting them down to 7-minute chunks and then making something else out of them, like a commercial or something like that.
Okay.
And I knew Paul, and he called me up and said, hey, we're doing this show. And Josh is a writer on it, and some other guys I knew, and why don't you come over and play this teacher? He's a biology teacher. And I went, wow, I don't want to wreck your show, but I'd love to. That's great. And then they just kept bringing me back. I kept coming back as this biology teacher.
Okay, so you didn't want to wreck their show, but you had a guest appearance on West Wing, and you had no qualms about that?
It was such a tiny little part and that was a lark too. My friend Bill Johnson, who was the editor on the Mystery Science movie, was the director of that episode, and he just said, "Hey, come on, maybe you can read this line. It's just a harmless little thing."
So it's a one-off.
Yeah, it was so much fun, and that show was so rich. It was a network, the prime, of its lifespan, and
so catering was awesome.
I don't remember catering, but I got tailored for my one line. I had a suit, and I went in and they tailored. It was like, I'm barely on camera, but they treated me great, and it was awesome.
That's actually great. I know that you actually wrote a comic book. I believe it was for Event Comics called "Here Come the Big People." Was writing a comic book something that you always wanted to do? Were you ever a fan of comics, or did they just come approach you and say, "Hey, we'd like to have you do this"?
They approached me. I have a fairly embarrassingly large collection of comics at home, but but really, they approached me, and they had been doing these great titles like Painkiller Jane and Ash, which was their fireman superhero character, which was pretty cool. And they said, "Hey, let's do this thing." And at the time, I didn't want to do a super violent comic or put too much sex into it or make it interesting in any way. So it's a pretty milquetoasty kind of storyline. But now I've got another comic that I'm working on that is super violent, extremely gratuitous, very gross. It's a perfect 14-year-old boy comic book.
Okay, do we already have a release company with that?
No.
Do you have a title for the book?
No, I have to. It's called Perfect Future Man.
Perfect Future Man.
And but no, I'd like to find a publisher, but I might have to do it myself.
Is there a way to still get the Here Come the Big People comic? Is it, except for back issue bins, or?
No, I have a few left. I think I have about 100 left, and then they're gone.
Wow.
But I just saw on Twitter that Amanda Palmer, who did art for the book, there's something featured in her book, the art of Amanda Palmer. So, and that's only rumor through Twitter.
Okay.
I haven't seen it, but
Yeah, but I say take it for what it's worth.
yeah.
You're here now with Cinematic Titanic. I'm sorry, actually, I wanted to ask you about America's Funniest Videos, where you started working again with Jay Elvis. Was there any trepidation going to work for him, since technically he would be your boss now?
No, it was great. We'd known each other for such a long time, and there was another example where he called up and said, "Hey, I'm doing this show, and you've made fun of movies and mocked video. Why don't you come over and do this?" And it turned out to be a great job. I did that for, I think, 9 seasons.
Wow.
So
I did not know it was that long.
Oh yeah, steady job in Los Angeles. It was fantastic.
So what gets you back into doing doing movie riffing, and now with Cinematic Titanic?
Oh, you can't get the stink off you. It just trails behind you. It's just, you can't get rid of it. Joel and Josh and I were pitching a different idea, direct-to-video concept in Los Angeles, and we wanted to work together again, and there was the opportunity to get together and do Cinematic Titanic, and we said, "Hey, let's do it." So, and it's a more purified, evolved form of Mystery Science Theater. It's more pure, less costumes, no robots. It's just the jokes and the movie and the audience. So
Putting it down to its bare bones,
Yes.
simplicity.
right. We've stripped it down. We're sucking the marrow out of each bone joke bone, full of getting in there with our long spoons, and putting it on bread. And yeah.
You got to schmear.
Yeah.
How does it feel? How does it make you feel when you're doing the meet and greets, and you have all these fans coming up to you, and they tell you how much they appreciate you and your characters and how much it means to them. Because I've been to comic book conventions and I've been to your shows before. Battery's going? We'll make this quick. We'll wrap it up.
Battery's going.
Yeah. How does it make you feel? Because I've seen them with robots. I've seen them with crow robots, and they come up and they have you sign them. How does it make you feel that these people love it?
It's fantastic. It's the best thing. You know, we were so isolated from the audience for such a long time, and now to get to meet them and meet families that have, you know, evolved with the show. It's like our kids are into it, and that's the best thing in the world. So yeah, the live shows are great. You'll see tonight a great show.
Oh, awesome.
And no, I love meeting all the people, and it's terrific.
Well, Mr. Beaulieu, we greatly appreciate your time. Unfortunately, we have to cut a little bit short because it's almost performing time.
Yeah, we got to go make a show.
And we're also running out of battery power. But we thank you so much for your time, and we appreciate you being here.
20 years, we'll do this again.